أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك أنفسكم ولكم فيها ما تدعون نزلا من غفور رحيم إلى الله وعمل صالحا رحيم صدق الله العظيم.
Those brothers who are standing are requested to sit down. And we should listen to the talk attentively, because we have to instill these qualities in our lives. The thing which is to be installed in our lives is deen, in our hearts. And we have to practice upon the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the religion of Islam. This is why when we make ourselves punctual with these amals, with these deeds, then we will become habituated with these deeds, and they will become part and parcel of our lives. Otherwise, if a person remains free, then his heart remains free also. But if a person habituates himself with amals, then his whole body and his heart also becomes habituated with good deeds and with the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, if a person is habituated with sinning and the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then these things increase in his life, and his heart remains free, and his life also becomes free, and he becomes disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then his heart will also be free, and his body will be free. Free meaning disobedient. If one makes his heart obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then his whole body will also become subservient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, if one makes his heart subservient to his desires and to his caprice, then his whole body will become subservient to his wishes and his caprice, and then his whole body will become disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the effect of the exterior goes into the interior. If a person from the outside is pious and is obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then this will penetrate into his inner self, and his soul will also become obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then his heart will also become subservient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If on the other hand, a person from the exterior is disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this will have an effect on his heart. Or if his heart is disobedient, then this will have an effect on his exterior. So the effect of the exterior goes into the interior, and vice versa. The effect of the interior permeates into the outside and into the exterior. Like water. The water, when it goes into the roots, then the water from outside is being soaked into the roots, and it's having an effect on the roots. And then the roots, because they have become affected by the water, then the plants will grow and the shoots will grow out of the ground, and the effect will be apparent on the exterior. This is similar is this, the heart. This is why we have to become obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to make ourselves punctual with listening and with hearing the talks of deen, and then practicing upon the talks of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we have to become punctual with our actions. We have to become obedient and punctual with all things, because Islam means obedience, that one becomes subservient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If one is not obedient, then there is no Islam. If one is obedient, then that means that there is a sign of Islam. Islam means subservience and obedience. This is Islam. This is why we have to listen in this way, in this manner, that we also become obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so that we, this free will which is inside us, this disappears from us, because in this is our destruction. In our free will and doing what we desire and following our desires, in this is mankind's destruction. And obedience, in this is success. This is been decided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that in the disobedience, in freedom is destruction of man. And Allah Ta'ala has already decided and decreed that in freedom is a destruction of man, and in obedience is his success. Even if a person, by disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by having freedom, he manages to gain the things of this world, and the exterior he manages to gain, and he becomes very wealthy, and he becomes the owner of many means, but despite his having his means, he will be unsuccessful, because he has become free and he is not subservient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when he will be, or when man will be free, then he will, because of this freedom, he will lose the good qualities from within himself. He will lose the good qualities from within himself, and he will become destroyed in this manner. And man will be asked about his inner qualities, that what did you do with your inner qualities, that these qualities that we gave to you, what did you do with these qualities? We gave you these faculties. Inna sam'a wal basara wal fu'ada kullu ulaika kana anhu mas'ula. You will be questioned about your heart, your eyes, your ears. All these faculties we gave to you, how did you utilize these? We will be questioned about our inner qualities, that how did we utilize these qualities? What did we do with these qualities? And if we misuse these faculties, then this is zulm, this is tyranny. And Allah Ta'ala does not help those who are tyrants. Allah Ta'ala does not help the tyrants. وَمَا لِلظَّالِمِينَ مِنْ أَنصَارٍ. Allah Ta'ala does not help the oppressors, the tyrants. So, if a human being is not utilizing his faculties for the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he is a tyrant. And he is ungrateful.